Right. Let's see here. Alright, so this is going to be a breakdown of all the Keyblades in Kingdom Hearts 3, including a few of the DLC ones, primarily the Midnight Blue from PlayStation and Oblivion. First up, we've got the Kingdom Key. This is the standard Keyblade for any Kingdom Hearts game. It has pretty normal abilities for it. MP Haste to boost the recharge rate for magic. Almost every Keyblade will have hidden potential on it, which will strengthen me against stronger enemies whenever I use their form change. Speaking of form changes, everyone has a different one, or some of them share. Kingdom Key has the unique second form, and there are some Kingdom Key copycats which use second form in various ways. We will be showcasing these Keyblades and their form changes here in front of the old mansion with the battle gate. Every Keyblade can be upgraded in this game to a minimum or a max. Kingdom Key has a minimum stat of 4/4 in magic and strength, and a max of 9 strength and 8 magic. Going into second form changes the color scheme of Sora's clothes to match his Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit. This form change has 3 settings, being Stunned Impact, Sonic Blade, and Ars Arcanum. The combos for in this form are largely a lot of Sora's Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit combos. Therefore, those who are familiar with Kingdom Hearts 2 should feel right at home. Of course, moving on to the second finisher, this is Sonic Blade. Very high damaging attack, but it goes by very quickly. Now the issue with second form with the Kingdom Key is that you have to build up the combo meter for each of the attacks. So it gets Stunned Impact by default, you have to build it up an additional time for Sonic Blade, and you have to build it up another time for Ars Arcanum. I am now at level 2 with Sonic Blade. And I did not get to show off Ars Arcanum, but we can do it again so it can be seen. In addition to the form changes and finishers, every Keyblade has shot locks, with this one being the King of Hearts or Ragnarok. Ragnarok is if you charge it up all the way.
Over here. Yeah. Take this. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, and now for R's Arcanum, where it is a flurry of very strong, very high damaging Keyblade attacks. Alright, next up is the Hero's Origin. This is the first Keyblade unlocked in the game, and it is from the Olympus world. Hero's Origin features Guardian form, which features mainly keeping me alive whenever my health is low, and allowing me to survive deadly combos from the enemy. On top of that, it has the form change of Counter Shield, which lets me block attacks and unleash a powerful counterattack. Just like Kingdom Key, Hero's Origin also has two Keyblade shot locks. Now the first shot lock is called Drain Shock, and it simply heals Sora whenever I use it. Now if I charge the shot lock up to max, it is now Atomic Deluge, where I cascade thunder magic across the enemies. A Hero's Origin only has one shot lock change, but it lets me do very powerful counter attacks, and it lets me hold block. Not to mention, I can also attack just like normally with the shield, with its own very powerful combos. And then the only finisher that Counter Shield has, the shield turns into a chariot, and I blast thunder magic all over the arena. It is very powerful, and it is very high in area of effect magic. It is primarily a strength-focused Keyblade, so you will be doing melee combos a lot more than magic, which helps a lot with the counter shield form change, as it increases the damage of those counterattacks even further.
Back at you. Take this. So long. Here we go.
Alright, and next up we have the Keyblade you get from meeting up in Twilight Town, and that is the Shooting Star. Now this Keyblade focuses mainly on magic, as it has 10 magic and 8 strength, and its form change is the element form, which gives me very powerful magical abilities, including MP Saga, which increases my magic recharge by 30% when it's draining, and Magic Galvanizer, which increases the damage I deal in proportion to the length of the combo. Shooting Star is actually one of 2 Keyblades, which has 3 form changes actually. One for each of its states, one in regular Keyblade form, one in its first shock lock, being double arrow guns, and one in its third form change, being the magical launcher. First up, we have Meteor Shower. Course Cannonade.
Here we go. Got him.
Now the basic attacks with this form change are very weak, and it is more of a magic focused combat, turning all of Sora's magic into projectiles, and it makes it very powerful.
Try this.
Next we have the Magic Launcher, which is a projectile based combat. And of course, the last shot lock. Now the only finisher for this has Sora launch a large magical blast into the enemy area. then next up, we have the Keyblades from Toy Story, Tangled, and Monsters Inc. First up, we have Favorite Deputy, who uses Strike Form, which utilizes me to maintain longer combos and do more damaging combos. And it has 2 shot locks, being Ghost Sword and Drill Dive, as well as 2 form changes, being Hyper Hammer and Drill Punch. Now the thing with this Keyblade is that Drill Punch actually takes it back into element form instead of strike form, using magic primarily. And here we will see it in action. First up, we have the Ghost Sword form shot lock. So the low damage shot lock doesn't do that much damage, but it is good for clearing small anodes. Next up, we have the next shot lock, Drill Dive, which is very high damaging and very similar to Sonic Drill. And of course, we have his form changes. First up being Hyper Hammer, which takes Sora into strike form, allowing for more high damage combos that can maintain longer.
Here we go. It's over. See ya.
And of course, every Keyblade has a strong finisher, and this one's
Here we go.
is that it grabs an enemy and slams them around.
So long. Take this. Back off. Got him. Yeah. Yeah. Back off. Yeah. 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 Take this. Try this.
And that is Favorite Deputy. Next up, we've got the Ever After Keyblade, attained from completing the Tangled world, and it is a very magic-heavy Keyblade, focusing on air magic. It has the element form, which boosts all magic power and allows me to have the same magical abilities as Shooting Star did, including Magic Galvanizer and MP Hastaga. It has 2 shot locks, just like most Keyblades, and it also has the most powerful early game shot lock, being Spectral Rays. So, let's take it in, see how it works. First off, we have our initial shot lock, being Shimmering Drops. which is a quick way to heal Sora in a pinch if I need to. Next up, we have its stronger one, the Spectral Rays, which is very powerful in early game, as it does insane area of effect damage. As for its form change, we are given access to Mirage Staff, which lets Sora make 4 copies of himself before blasting enemies with magic. This Keyblade will boost all air magic you do, and will usually give you a command of Air Rosa just for using it. And its finisher pulls a tower out of the ground similar to Rapunzel's before spawning 2 of Sora's copies and raining the arena with powerful light rays. And that is Ever After. Next up, we have the Happy Gear, attained from completing the Monsters Inc. world. And this is a very strike-focused Keyblade, having 11 strength and 7 magic. It uses strike form, much like Favorite Deputy from Toy Story, allowing me to hit harder and provide longer combos. It has 2 shot locks, being Snake Bite and Warp Trick, and it has 2 form changes, being Agile Claws and Twin Yo-Yos. Personally, this is one of my favorite Keyblades, and I will always use it. So let's take it in, see how it works. First up, we've got the Snake Bite Shot Lock. Very similar to the King of Hearts and the Ragnarok from the Kingdom Key. And then we've got its other shot lock, Warp Trick. First up is Agile Claws. And like I said, this Keyblade uses it as a strike form, allowing me to provide longer combos that hit harder. Next up is the second form change of Twin Yo-Yos, where Sora trades in the claws for 2 massive yo-yos. My issue with this form change is that the twin yo-yos are very fun, but they also pass by very quickly, meaning you don't get to play with them a whole lot. And then just like the others, this Keyblade has a very strong finisher. And that is Monsters Inc. Keyblade. Next up, we'll be featuring the Crystal Snow Keyblade from Arendelle. The Honey Spout Keyblade from Pooh, and the Nano Gear Keyblade from Big Hero 6. Crystal Snow is a very magic-heavy Keyblade, giving me access to the Blitz form, which increases Sora's movement abilities. Crystal Snow has 8 strength and 11 magic, really giving me that greatest strength to that. And it has 2 shot locks, being Diamond Dust and Frozen Crescents. Now, it also has 2 form changes, being Blizzard Claws, which runs very similar to the Agile Claws of the Happy Gear, and it has Blizzard Blades, which is very fun and very quick to move around in. So let's take it in and see how it works. First up is this first shot lock, being Diamond Dust. Next up is its full shot lock, being Frozen Crescents. And now we're into Blizzard Claws, which, like I said, are very similar to Agile Claws. Much like Ever After from Tangled, this Keyblade has an elemental variant, where it will always give you the Blizzaza command. And now on to its second form change of Blizzard Blades. Now the issue with this Keyblade is that its attacks are entirely magical, meaning for enemies like this that require strike attacks, you can't fully use them. So, against magical enemies like the sorcerer that don't take any magic damage, they are not very strong. But against main enemies, they are very powerful. Next up, we've got the Honey Spout from 100 Acre Woods. This is gotten for completing the Winnie the Pooh book, and it features the Guardian form, which allows me to stay alive longer and increases my defense when my health is low. It is also the only other Keyblade besides Shooting Star that has 3 shot locks, and it as well has 2 form changes. It's largely a reskin of the Shooting Star, but it's a slightly better because the honey actually slows enemies down. First up is its starting shot lock, which is Honey Burst. Next up is its full shot lock, Sweet Surprise. And much like Magic or Shooting Star, its final form is also a magic launcher, which gives it the same shot lock, going from overhead. Next up, we've got the Nano Gear. For beating Big Hero 6, you will retain this Keyblade, and it awards you with the Blitz form change, increasing Sora's movement speed. It is a, well, more or less balanced Keyblade, giving 10 strength and 9 magic. It has 2 shot locks, being Cube Extreme and Zone Connector, and it has 1 form change, being Nano Arms, which actually uses elements from other form changes. And is actually a fan favorite of the game. First up is this Cube Extreme Shot Lock. Next up is this full power being Zone Connector. And that is Nano Arms. Next up, we've got the Wheel of Fate, the Starlight, and the Grand Chef. First up is Wheel of Fate, which is obtained from completing the Pirates of the Caribbean world, and much like Ever After and Crystal Snow, it has a magic tied to it, being Waterza. Much like a couple Keyblades we've seen already, it gives Strike Form, giving me the stronger, longer combos. It has two shot locks, being Blade Storm and Flag Rampage. And it has two form changes, being High Wind and Storm Flag. So let's take it in, see how it works. First up is Blade Storm. And next is Flag Rampage. First form change is High Wind, where Sora turns the Keyblade into a spear. Next is Storm Flag, where Sora trades the spear in for a flag. And the detail I like is that the end of the flag is actually tattered to match that of Pirates of the Caribbean. Now it also has a finisher, if I can get to it before I kill this guy. If not, I can pull us back in and show it off. Alright, we'll go back in to show off the finisher from Stormwind. And much like the other Keyblades, Wheel of Fate has a very strong finisher. And since this time in Pirates of the Caribbean it was focused on Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, the finisher features tentacles from the Kraken and from Davy Jones. And that is Wheel of Fate. Next up is Starlight, which is rewarded is gotten very late in the game from the Keyblade Graveyard, and it is what I would call one of the few Kingdom Key copycats, as it also uses second form, though it uses its own version. It has two shock locks, being Blades of the Round and Union Ragnarok, which are very similar to Kingdom Keys, and it has 3 different finishers just like Kingdom Key. So let's take it in, see how it works. First up is Blades of the Round. Next up is Union Ragnarok. Just like with Kingdom Key, going into second form, turns Sora's clothes to match those of his Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit.
So long.
Now the unique finisher to Starlight that isn't shared with Kingdom Key is Ancient Light. And that is Starlight. Next up, we've got Grand Chef. This Keyblade is awarded for completing all of the recipes with an excellent in the bistro. Much like the other a few of the other Keyblades, it has a element magic tied to it. This time, it is Fire Rosa. Occasionally, while filling up the situation command, you'll get a Fire Rosa, and much like Crystal Snow, it gives us Bliss Form. However, its form change is Frying Pan, which is more similar to the Counter Shield from Hero's Blade. It has two shot locks, being Steam Spiral and Fruit Crusher. And let's take it in, see how it works. First up, we've got Steam Spiral. Next up, we've got Fruit Crusher.
Here we go. Here we go. Take this.
Now this is a magic focused Keyblade, much like Crystal Snow, so all form changed. Actually, no. I don't take a speed penalty. In fact, it actually boosts Sora's movements. It only slows down whenever I'm holding the block, so I can guarantee a counter. Like that. Next up, we've got the last two Keyblades of the game, being the Classic Tone and the Ultima Weapon. Classic Tone features the Guardian form, much like a few of the other Keyblades, which allows me to stay alive longer when my health is low. And it features two shot locks, being Phantom Rush and Noise Flux, as well as the Boom Hammer and the Clock Drill being its form changes. Now this is largely a copy-paste of the favorite deputy from Toy Story. However, this Keyblade is more focused towards magic instead of strength, obvious from its three benefits being MP haste. So, let's take it in, see what it looks like. First up is its initial shot lock of Phantom Rush. And then its full shot lock of Noise Flux. Now its first form change is Boon Hammer. And its second is Clock Drill. And like stated previously, if Keyblade functions pretty identically to favorite deputy. Finally, for the base game, we have Ultima Weapon, which is the only Keyblade that is gained from crafting, and it is the strongest, being 13 of 13 magic. Now, the only weapon that can beat it out on one of the stats is Classic Tone, having 14 in magic. Other than that, Ultima Weapon is the best Keyblade attained in base game. It gives you Ultimate Form, which is different than the others, turning Sora's clothes white, and gives me access to Teleport, Combo Master, Second Chance, MP Hastera, and Hand Potential. Unlike every other Keyblade, it has only a single shot lock of being Infinity Circle, which can only be used when fully charged. And it has the one form change of Ultimate Form. So, let's take it in, see how it works. First up is this form change, which has to be fully charged to use on a single enemy. And of course, its form change is Ultima Form, turning the Keyblade itself into a full-on sword. And of course, just like every other Keyblade, it has a powerful finisher. And if you haven't noticed, its shot lock is the most powerful in the game. And finally, moving on to the DLC Keyblades, we have 3, being the Starlight Blue for exclusive to PlayStation. It isn't replaced with the Phantom Green on Xbox. The Oathkeeper, and the Oblivion. First up is Midnight Blue. And while I call it a Kingdom Key clone, it is more of a Starseeker clone from Kingdom Hearts 2. It also uses second form, this time being second form M. And it has 2 shot locks, being the same as Kingdom Key, being Kingdom Hearts and Ragnarok. And its final finishers are the same as Kingdom Key. Its first of 3 finishers is Stun Impact. Its second finisher is Sonic Blade.
It's over. It's over.
And its third finisher, though you didn't see it, is the same as Kingdom Keys, which is Ars Arcanum. Next up is Oblivion, which is a Kingdom Key returning from Kingdom Hearts 2. It is a magic-focused Keyblade, with its own unique form being Light Form. It has two form changes, being Light Form and Double Form. A lot of Light Form's combos are the same as Sora's base combos, though with given different style. Double Form, well, I will let you see it when we go in. It has two shot locks, just like every other Keyblade, being Sunray Blast and Stellar Reception. And let's take it in. First up is Sunray Blast.
Gotcha.
And next is Stellar Inception.
See ya.
For Light Form, Sora's clothes turn white, and the kanji for light can be seen on his knees and on the back of his hood. Next up is the second form change, Double Form, where Sora gains Oblivion, and now light and dark kanjis are seen on his clothing. And of course, its own powerful finisher. Shows the dark kanji above and the light kanji below. And now for the final Keyblade of the game, we have Oblivion. Much like Oathkeeper, this is a returning Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts 2, and it has its own form being Dark Form. Just like Oathkeeper, Dark Form is pretty much Sora's normal things, only his clothes are turned black in this form, with the dark kanji on his knees and clothes. Double form is the same as with Oathkeeper, only this time it's triggered with Oblivion. It has 2 shot locks, being Blade for Eclipse, and as also Stellar Inception. So, let's take it in. And of course, its second form change is double form. And just like Oathkeeper, it has the same shot lock. And that is all the Keyblades in the game. Thank you for watching. Let me know which one's your favorite. Mine is still Wheel of Fate.